I'm always like, how do I spell? I always have to look. All right, so we should be live on the page. Let me just share it out to the group, and then we'll get started up. Everything's going so slow for me today. Facebook's been pretty crazy.
Mm.
Right, so yeah, everything's loading so slow. All right, there you are. All right, let's share that out to the group, and then we'll get started. Share. Come on. There we go. Share the group. Man, yo, this thing is so annoying. It's like so laggy that like I click on something and it just doesn't register, and then I click away and then it just disappears.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll be out to the group in a second here.
Cool.
Paste and post. Come on, post. Go. Awesome. All right, we're live. So Dmitry is back. Everybody who's watching, if you're catching the replay, just put a comment, say replay. We had Dmitry on almost a year, 10 months ago. Roughly about 10 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
we had Dmitry on when we kind of first started this group, and he shared some like massive stuff that I think we might have to go back and re-promote that or do that again at some point, because I think a lot of what you were talking about at the time, my mentality was, all right, whatever, I'm going to focus on what I'm doing, and now I'm seeing like as the year progressed, I'm like, oh, a lot of the stuff that you talked about on the branding side and all that stuff, I was like, oh shit, I should have been doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So back then, I was just a little bit naive to the importance of it. And then you had reached out to me again last month, I believe, right before your trips, and we'll get into all that stuff. To say, hey, do you want to do a live about how to develop a personal branding site because you've been doing it for some big names? So I'm like, shit, yeah. We finally got it in the schedule. We scheduled it out a month ahead, and kind of we're here. So Dmitry, man, welcome back. It's good to have you again. And talk a little bit about your journey over the past 10 months. What have you been up to?
Yeah, absolutely. Good to be back. Thanks for inviting me back, and congratulations on the growth of this group. Really good to hear that, as the group being like, business not bullshit, that there's been more and more people getting involved in business and taking it seriously and also playing, which is clearly like part of your spirit is to keep people like really playful and engaged, and really awesome to be back and to share the stuff from my journey over the last several months.
Oh, man,
So yeah,
transformation.
when we connected 10 months ago, I was just I had built my agency Vision Tech team to be pretty successful, and we'd been serving a lot of really top clients in the personal growth and marketing world, anything ranging from like Frank Kern, JJ Virgin, Yannick Silver, Dean Graziosi, a lot of top people. And I was kind of thinking of two paths to scale at the time. And one of them was teaching what we do to other agencies, which was called Agency Accelerator, which is kind of some of the stuff I taught on our last conversation. And I put that project on hold a little bit, where we still plan to do more of that stuff, but I've actually found right now is more of my calling to just keep scaling the agency and keep mastering this stuff, and not just learn how to scale to seven or multiple seven figures, but scale to eight figures and really have a big impact with a scalable offer and an epic team with what we do. So then that other path, as far as scaling the actual agency, was, okay, we've built the personal brands, also like the funnels and membership sites and all that stuff, but especially on the front end, the personal brands of a lot of these really top people. And a lot of people were coming to us and saying, hey, I want a personal brand site like that. Do you have a WordPress theme, or do you have a lower offer? Because we were starting them at like 25K at the time. And, we're like, no, no, no. And we're kind of offended, like, hey, this is custom work, man. You can't just plug into a template, or you can't just like do this for a small percentage of that cost. So then we actually realized, a lot of people are asking for this, and even the top celebrities in the world and the top major entrepreneurs don't have great personal brand sites. Like if you look at the yourname.com of most entrepreneurs and most even like celebrities out there, on authors, speakers, coaches, agency owners, all of them, like most of the personal brand sites just kind of suck. Like they're either ugly or they're pretty but they don't perform well. And this whole piece is critically missing. So we figured, okay, let's just go out and solve that problem in the marketplace. Eventually, we'll launch a product around it where it'll be like ClickFunnels for the personal brand world. But initially, we decided, okay, let's do this on a mass scale and do a lot of custom sites. So we launched the thing with 25 custom sites at a huge discount. In the process, raised a bunch of money to build this village out in East Africa, which created basically trained 50 entrepreneurs or 50 micro enterprises, 150 entrepreneurs, and raised a community of 1,000 plus people out of extreme poverty. And then that was like the impact component. And then on our end, we sold over 25 sites, which is the most we've ever tried to do at a time, and just went ham on delivering on all of these sites, and in the process mastering the process of what it takes to build an epic personal brand site, especially for marketers. So when I say an epic personal brand site, one that also both like looks beautiful and drives results, aka leads and sales for business, because the whole world is heading, whether you're a professional or an agency owner, or whether you're like doing something independently, entrepreneurially, or even if you're an executive as part of a company, personal brand starts to matter now more than ever. Right? Like that's like follows what you're doing with the group, right? It's like your personal brand starts to matter a lot, because now you've got thousands of people that are trusting you, listening to you, and it's not an egoic thing, but it's really a service-based thing, because the more people trust your name, right, the more you can build on the foundation of that name, and ultimately that's what we have as a reputation. And our online reputation depends on, it's like when somebody Googles you, what comes up, and the personal brand site is usually the first thing that comes up. And if you don't have that piece taken care of, then it's either not driving the right results for you or just actually making you look bad. So we set out to solve that problem, and we created basically a formula. So what I'm going to share today, and I've got a bunch of slides and examples and all this stuff as well, and I'll probably, because we're on a computer live, I'll get to just go into some live sites and walk through some of this stuff. So essentially what I'll walk through is a bunch of our portfolio items, but like go step by step into here's why we did what we did, and somebody that is applying this to themselves, whether you're doing it yourself or whether you're working with a web professional or whether you're working with an agency, you know exactly step by step what to do. And I'll give away these slides at the end too, so like no opt-in, no anything. I'll just give you guys the slides and some other cool resources that if you're out there building your own stuff, you'll just want to use all of this, because it's what the top people are using to create their sites.
I do want to, before you dive into that content, I do want to, you did mention something that I think is pretty key that a lot of people are like, wait, what the hell? You'd onboarded basically around the same time and 25 clients to do this for.
Yeah.
Right? So before we get into the nitty gritty of how you did all that, what were the challenges involved? Because I recently just onboarded a lot of people for a 1 month project, and it was a lot involved to get it set up. So, and I remember you putting a post out there on Facebook, something about, hey, our goal was to do this and we failed miserably. Yeah. And kind of like alluding to, hey, this is how we did imperfect action to get to this result. So talk a little bit about that journey. Where did you go to get these customers? How did you, like, what was that process like? What were the lessons learned?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great because that post, I'm glad you remember that, because that post is actually, it was a disguised and a highly effective sales post as well. Because basically what we said was like, hey, we set this goal and we failed miserably. And that was the attention grabber. And we did in many ways, but the solutions we created from that failure offered a better service to the marketplace, because then we started writing copy for people. We started creating better systems and processes and all of that. That's really, a lot of it came down to, we've never done this much work at once. Once we sold it all, which I'll get into the selling of it in a minute, what happened was we realized, okay, we really got to get our processes in line. So with every single call, every project, every piece of every project, we go back and analyze, okay, what wasn't perfect here? What could be improved? Getting client feedback, getting team member feedback, and then implementing that in the next phase of the project or the next piece. So we were really fluid and not attached to any particular way of doing things. And then also simultaneously, like hiring, firing, really evaluating, like quickly making decisions, but still like following enough of a process to be able to do that. So I'd say, it was really like implementing, and then immediately after implementation, every week we would have a meeting, which is our weekly InfluX meeting, and we would look back at all the things that didn't go well that week and all the things that could be improved that week, and do our best to improve them for the next week, not just firefighting and putting out the issue, but saying, okay, what does this identify as a potential process that could be created so that we could systemize all that stuff. So there was a lot of that going on. As far as how we sold the sites, this is really cool, because while we did like a little bit of advertising and a little bit of like direct marketing, most of it sold through one Facebook post. I'll actually, I'm gonna pull up the article with this post as well, because it was really cool how I'd say like probably more than 50% of our sales for this came in through this one post. And I'll break it down a little bit here. Is there a I could probably screen share.
Yeah, you should see screen share. Like if you hover over my face or something, it should say share screen. Or on the
Awesome.
right side, it should say
Oh,
share
yep,
screen.
I see that. Awesome. Sharing options. Oops, start sharing. Awesome. All right, cool. Can you see my screen?
It's loading. There we go.
Cool. So this is the post I did afterwards about like the whole impact component of this. But the post itself was, so I said after doing an initial Facebook push, and then I'll send you guys a link to this article as well. So I just literally started the post. So this is a personal Facebook post. Even before we did promoted posts, we started driving ads to it. And this did really well. Yeah, there's you. Cool, with Brian Evans. So it's just like, yeah, what a top influencers like Frank Kern, Yannick Silver, JJ Virgin, Mike Dillard, David Bach, all these people, and many others have in common. And I'm like a moment to brag. They all have sites by us. And then I'm like, up to this point, you know, we've been pretty exclusive. The minimum way to get involved with us is to pay us a high-end monthly retainer. But today, making a special opportunity. This is the important piece. I said transparently, here's why. And then reason number one, reason number two, reason number three. One was like a big philosophical, you know, I want to democratize the personal brand site industry and make this accessible to anyone. Reason number two was like, to do that, I want the best portfolio in the world, which the way I'm going to do that is through doing a bunch of services at a high discount and figuring out the process. And number three was the impact piece, because I was really passionate about this Village Enterprise cause. And then I kind of put in some testimonials and made an exclusive offer and said, just, you know, apply and get in touch if you want one of these. And then included samples of our work in that. So this, even though it was like a sales post, right? This is as marketing of a marketing post as it can get. But it was so authentic. This is an organic post, got 150 likes, 15 shares, shitload of comments, people tagging others like, hey, you should look into this and blah, blah, blah. And this got more engagement than almost any of my other organic posts, except when I posted that I fell in love and posted a picture of me and her, right? Like that was the only time I've gotten more organic engagement than I did on this post. And I think the key there was that it was attention grabbing up front without like a super strong pitch, and then like super transparent reasons for why we're doing this. And then it involved, obviously, I had the advantage of being able to involve a lot of super high-level influencers in the post, and that created a shitload of trust. But it didn't have a super direct, like, push or call to action or link or anything like that, which is what got it all the engagement. And we did some other stuff around this, but I'd say almost all the sales came pretty directly from this or some version of this.
Yeah, that's awesome. And do you think that somebody, just play devil's advocate, somebody that didn't have all those influencers in their portfolio could do something similar?
I think something similar. It depends, obviously, on your following and whether you're driving ads or doing it organically. But yeah, I think what the important lessons to take from this are what's an authentic message that you can communicate with great copy that people to whom the offer is relevant will genuinely get excited about. So let's say you're selling, you know, like let's say you're selling Facebook advertising to dentists in a particular demographic, and you're targeting that group, and maybe you know that there might be a few key dentists that people look up to in those arenas, or whether you use the key dentists or not. Like there's a few key success criteria, and you know you could do something like, let's say you were using this formula of what they have in common. You say, you know, what do all 7-figure local dental practices with one location have in common, right? Even whether you've served them or not, right? Well, none of them rely on just referral marketing. They all do some form of Facebook advertising to blah, 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 blah. And right now, I'm going to give you in this post, you know, 3 examples of Facebook ads that people in this industry are using that you can swipe for yourself. Blah, 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 blah. And right now I'm rolling out a thing where I'll actually consult you for free or for a fee or whatever it is for a first time setup of these ads. And then if you want to choose to engage with us later, I've got room for 5 clients, and we could talk about what that looks like. Right? That's a super like non-pushy, organic, super value-driven post that if I'm running a local dental practice, and I'm not doing 7 figures, I'm sitting there like, yeah, man. I'm reading this. I'm reading this. I'm liking it. I'm sharing it. I'm into it. So there's a lot of ways I think to apply that formula, whether or not you've got that major credibility. And obviously, if you've got that credibility and you build that through doing the work consistently, then it becomes even easier.
Yeah, 100%, man. That's awesome. And that's I really wanted to pull that out from you because a lot of people say, hey, if I don't have the results, how can I do this? So that was a great explanation for it. So let's dive in, man. I struggle with this personal branding thing for myself because I have the group, right? That's one thing, but I'm like, wait, I don't really serve the group like that. I have clients and I do other things. So how do I differentiate that? And I think you had asked me about my website domain. So right now I'm building my platform on my company name, but I also think I need to eventually, if not sooner rather than later, set up my personal website for stuff. And like, how does that work? Like, I think it's just too much to do at once. Let me just get one built up and then do the other one.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that? And let's dive into some of your content.
Yeah, I think, and my thoughts on that are you could take a lot of the principles from here, whether you apply to an agency site and consulting site, or whether you apply it to your personal brand site. A lot of the same principles still stick. We happen to apply them more in the personal branding world. But that also eventually, whether you build a big thing around it or not, or you just do like a little bit, it makes sense to own yourname.com, have some sort of a blog, have your story on there. Because what will happen is, the way it works with your agency, right, is let's say I'm a reporter doing some stuff and I'm looking to feature somebody in your industry. I can go to your company site, which is designed to sell your clients, which is cool. But I won't like want to do a story on that. But if I see like, okay, you've got this group of these 4,000 people, and that's part of your story. You've got this agency that serves clients in this way, and that's part of your story. And now on your personal brand site, I see more of what you're all about. Now I'm more likely to get you more media exposure by seeing that, and to get excited about connecting with you in that way. Or I'm excited about like there's JV opportunities and other things that can come from that organically that don't necessarily relate directly to your agency. Now, as far as your agency, same thing. If when you're going in to like meet with a client or a potential partner, or distribution partner, or whatever it might be, what's happening is they're meeting your brand, but they're meeting you, right? And they're trusting you. And oftentimes, let's say you go speak on stage or whatever it might be, somebody will Google you and your name. And that first thing that comes up can then drive leads for your agency as well as drive other opportunities. So it's important whether you have your full business built around that or not to get that piece taken care of in some capacity.
Makes sense. I own my domain, but there's nothing on it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it might make sense to just throw up a quick like about page, blog, contact, and a little bit about like your company, what you do. But I'll go into kind of a formula for this stuff. So most people, it's like this stuff can be, this can be such a confusing world, and especially there's such an intimidation because it's your personal brand. So it's kind of like this is how you're getting dressed up to go out, and most people are either going to like do it all out or they're not going to do it at all. So most people don't do it at all. And there's a way to, even if you don't build these epic sites around it, do it in a way where you follow a certain formula and you authentically express yourself on there, and it allows you to build something that truly makes a difference, drive results for your business. So with that, I'm happy to jump straight into it unless you got some questions before that.
Let's do it.
Cool. And if anybody wants to follow along with these slides, it's influex.com/guide. And we'll drop that link into Facebook afterwards as well. I think I could probably chat this to you right now.
Influex.com/what?
There, it's influex.com/guide, as in like. I might actually jump into the group here as well. That way I can comment on stuff.
Put your whole Google Doc link when I got it.
Yeah, it'll go straight to the docs. Like I said, this isn't like I actually had an opt-in page around this, and then that got broken because of the switch from Fusionsoft to Active campaign. I was just like, let's just I just want to give this stuff away to people anyway. We're not really
Yeah.
like if somebody wants to do business with us and wants to get a site from us, we build epic sites. They start at a minimum of 10K. If somebody wants to do that, they'll get in touch. So we're not really like looking to like sell stuff to this list. We're just looking to just give a ton of value because I want people following these principles. And if somebody wants it done for them, then they touch base because people
I already posted the
know who
link
we
on
are.
the group, so just
Awesome. All right, cool.
just
Cool.
dive in.
Awesome. So I'll kind of run through a lot of these slides because we've gone through some of them so far. So this is based on when I give an in-person presentation. That's not what I want. I want is hold on.
You're trying to like view it.
Yeah,
It's just
I
sharing
just got rid of the menu.
You can just scroll through it like that, man.
I'll just scroll through it like this for now. So so basically just the first couple questions like, are you proud of what your name.com currently looks like and the results it drives for your business? For most people, it's no. And the idea is that whether it's your agency site or it's your personal brand site, right? You want a site that firstly drives results, which is like leads and sales for your business. Secondly, builds authority and really gets remembered and shared. And thirdly, expresses your essence, like authentically shows up as who you are. So I'm going to skip this kind of like intro stuff, but you can go ahead and connect with me on Facebook. That's probably the best way to just follow some of what I put out there consistently. And just go into the name Influex, which is what we named our company. It's really just a combination of influence and expression. So just named it as the shortened combination of those two words. There's this idea that through your fullest authentic expression, you can influence people to make decisions. So little play on words. You'll notice I like a lot of like poetic things, and I use that in my presentation because I believe business is fun. Like you, right? It's just like, let's have fun and do this, and I believe in poetry and wordplay. So really, what influence can you expect?
You're also a rapper.
Yes, I am. Maybe we'll do a little treat at the end here of a newer piece. I've got a piece. I don't know if I shared it last time. I think it's newer than that, where I kind of like channeled Steve Jobs, and it's an ode to entrepreneurs for like a minute. So we'll probably end with that. So stay until the end. You'll get a special little influence expression treat. So what influence can you expect from this expression? You'll learn the influencer ingredients, so all the components, and the results recipe to build your beautiful brand site. Move our videos up here a little bit. So we'll start with the 3 pillars. Consider these like the lenses. I also like cats. By the way, I'm not wearing my cat slippers right now, but I'm wearing panda slippers. A little bit different as I work. When I give this presentation in person, I'll go up there, dressed semi-formally, but having these cat slippers, giant orange cat slippers on, and it's kind of a fun way to play with it. So the 3 pillars of a perfect personal brand site are purpose, perception, and personality. So really, there's starting with primary purpose of your site. So what do you want somebody to do? Most websites make this terrible mistake of having 10 fucking things on the home page that invite them to 10 different calls to action. And I go on there, scroll all the way down the site, and I still don't know what you're up to, right? Or how you can help me. So thinking about like the lens of any time you're building a site or any campaign is, what do you want someone to do? Like, what's the primary purpose? You could still have a secondary call to action, but what's the primary purpose that this site is designed to do? And we'll go through some examples. 2 is perception, right? What do you want people to feel and remember as they experience you? Because perception matters. Neil Patel has this really great article. I'll post a link afterwards to this as well. It's like how I spent 162 grand on clothes, and that made me $692,000. And the whole concept is about how he started going into business. He spent a shitload of money, like 6 figures, on really nice clothes. He started going into business meetings and changed nothing, absolutely nothing, except for these clothes. And started closing higher ticket deals, like a significantly higher level, and how quickly this started making him a lot more money. Did everything else the same. So this applies to your sites as well. And the way that you can improve your perception while still being authentic is through great photography on your site. And same thing on social media, expert storytelling. So I'll give you guys a storytelling guide as well. It's at influex.com/storytelling. And there's really good 44 secrets to much better storytelling to tell your origin story. And actually, you'll read this in your Facebook posts. Organic Facebook posts, traffic, everything will get a lot better. Even though it's designed to tell the story on your site, everything will get better through this. Power positioning, which is ultimately just great copy, and then design and branding. And 3 is personality, right? Is thinking like, is my site, and really all my marketing is an authentic expression of who I am. And just to give an example of this, I'm going to see if I can jump into presenter mode here. I want to see what happens if I refresh. Oh, there we go.
To show controls.
Yeah. There we go. View. Present. At the top button that I can't seem to see. There we go. Just as an example here, there's 3 separate Epic sites, all of which the first 2 on the left we've built. The second one for Mike Koenig's we're in the process of launching right now, and it's coming out beautifully, right? Each of these has totally different expressions. They're still following a very similar formula, which we'll go through, but you'll notice that, like, Frank Kern is like, it looks like literally reports from the trenches. It looks like an article-based, like, education site where everything's really straightforward and more black and white, a little bit of gold. Is really Frank's style. Yannick is, if you know Yannick, he journals in color, and everything about him is creative expression and doodles and all of that. So it's an authentic expression of who he is. And Mike Koenig's is more of like, he's like a business celebrity. So everything about him is like a lot more Hollywood and playful and expressive and kind of like a darker feel, right? And it doesn't have to be an epic design if you're designing your own site to be an authentic version of you. It's just the idea is learn this stuff, copy the formula for what works, but then design it in a way that appeals to who you are and who your audience is and how you want to be perceived, especially in a personal brand, where the more authentic it feels to who you are, the more likely you are to use it, to share it, to blog on there. And through being authentic, right, Balls, you know this, right? Like, you're just super authentic in how you share. You give everybody else in your audience permission to be as well. And you can...
my show, bro.
Yeah. Fuck yes. Now. So the warning is this is really difficult to build a great site. And most people never get this right, including most online influencers. This is why they come to us to pay us to do this. Because if you saw most of these people's sites before we got to them, they're fucking embarrassing.
I believe it. Like, I've seen, like, even like a lot of corporates, consultants, and speakers and stuff like that. Like, I've done a lot of research and trying to put together my agency site. And I'm like looking at some of these, and I'm like, wow, they're like so old school, like basic WordPress, not even a design, you know? So right. I believe it. I believe it. And then some big companies that I've seen have outdated, shitty sites.
Yeah. Exactly. So Mike, this is a great example, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind. I don't imagine he'll see this, but if he did, I'm sure he wouldn't mind too much. This is Mike Koenig's, for example, like his current site. This is a guy who teaches personal branding, author, speaker, all the stuff that everything is built around your name, that you can build multi-million-dollar companies around your name. And his site looks like, and it's not the most terrible thing in the world, but it kind of... Right. Yeah, there's definitely worse out there. It kind of looks like shit. Joe Polish, same thing. We're designing Joe Polish's new site right now. But his current site looks like shit. And like this site is like just doesn't do the job, doesn't do justice to who Mike is. And then right now we're designing a site for him that really like expresses who he is and also drives the results that he wants based on where his business is heading, right? And is also like this fun, authentic expression of who Mike is. But again, it doesn't have to be like, don't let this stuff be intimidating, where as long as you follow this formula, you can get this piece right for yourself. Or if you're working with a designer, right, whether it's like local or somebody from the Philippines or India, just give them this presentation and give them these slides and like show them our portfolio and just be like, swipe this shit. It works. And then you can add your own ideas to it because most people are actually they don't have enough examples too of what works out there.
Yeah.
So
I think it's true. That's a good point because a lot of times when like I'm working with a designer, or developer, or whatever, they want examples. I'm like, dude, I don't fucking know.
yeah,
You know, like it's just what I've seen. Like I don't remember what it was. You know. So no, that makes
yeah,
a lot of sense. So guys steal
yeah.
his shit, swipe the files, show it to
Yeah,
whoever.
please do. I look at it as, sometimes it's funny because people are like, oh, don't you get offended at people like stealing your site designs? And I'm like, hell no. That's, to me, that's like, I feel honored. We're making some great art if other people are stealing it. And that forces us to keep innovating, to stay ahead of the trend. To me, that's part of the point. And long term, we want to create the playbook, right? So if people are following it now, that means we're on the right trend in creating the playbook.
Awesome.
So really, most online influencers never get this right. Even most web professionals, as we're talking about, most designers, developers, they suck at getting you a site that drives results. Firstly, they don't understand your business. You do. And second, they don't know how to design something that drives results in marketing. And much less do they know how to authentically express your essence. So most people waste a shitload of time, money, energy on their websites without getting the results they want, and that's because they don't have the recipe. In this case, we'll go through the whole tour, at least of a homepage and every piece that I'm using here is either an example of a site that we've launched or a site that we're in the process of launching. So this is all pulling from our portfolio. And we'll just go through a total tour of what it takes to build a results-driven site. I'll run through these next bullet points real quick because I'm going to go into a lot of depth on them with the next section. So it's like header with photo, video, power statement. We'll go into exactly what that means. An email opt-in, obvious, but also crazy how many people don't have that. Compelling story introduction. It's not just your credibility and about, but actually something compelling, which you can use that storytelling thing to create. Credibility and social proof. An invitation to work with you. You'll notice this is not usually the first thing, but it's a little further down once you've built a relationship. Content preview, giving people some free shit to educate them. Social connections with purpose. We'll talk about what I mean by with purpose. And finally, the footer ending strong and just being really memorable with your shoes, right? It's like I wear these panda slippers. Usually I wear cat slippers when I present, right? And part of it is because I like them. They're an authentic expression to me. Part of it is also to make a point that you get remembered by what's on your shoes. Same as your site gets remembered by what's on the bottom of every single page. So I'll run through a few examples of these. Right in a header, what you want to have is your power statement or your one-liner. Either like whatever it is that your main belief is or something that connects with your audience that gets people to know, wow, I'm in the right place and this guy, this company, whatever, can help me. And then in many cases, an invitation to play the video to learn more, right? And then usually that video, ideally, you can have a video pop up with the call to action of whatever you want people to do directly in there as well. And then good photo in the back. So you'll notice Onik, I show this example because Onik gave us a super nice professional photo shoot. And out of all the options, we chose to use this photo here. Hey, you still there? Your video disappeared, so I just want to make sure you're still here with me. I'm going to check on the Facebook group, make sure everybody's still there. Okay, cool. I'm going to assume everybody's still listening, or we're capturing this recording. So yeah, the reason I will you hear? This is good. Yeah, the reason that I use this photo of Onik in this particular case was, or the reason I'm showing this is, even if you don't have a nice professional photo shoot and you have kind of a blurry photo of you speaking or whatever it is that might be, you can't even see the audience in this case, it can still make for a really great header photo. So you can be intentional about how you choose this photo, even if you don't have really epic photography. Right, for Mike, it's, his power statement, become a business celebrity, and says exactly what he does. Again, watch video and the next piece as far as the opt-in. You see both of them have books, either the whole book or the first chapter. For Jules, Live Life on Fire, again, watch the video. So you'll notice each of these totally unique expression, but they're following a different type of formula, or they're following each of these is a unique expression, but they're all following the same ultimate formula. David Bach, I love this because, he has 9 best-selling books and has all these different expressions and stuff he teaches in the marketplace, and he boils it down to 4 words: live rich, finish rich. So just really, really good. Mike Dillard, similar thing, right? Build your business, build your wealth, live your dream, and then a clear call to action. And then you'll notice you'll go right into building the authority and credibility. Joe Poller, similar thing. So you'll notice that all of these site examples, again, they all look beautiful. They're all their own unique expressions, but they're presented in a way where they're all following pretty much the same formula, because this formula is proven to drive results and to connect with people quickly above the fold. Email opt-in, I'll just run through a few examples of these. You obviously see them currently in the header. But on Mike's, and you'll notice the thing a lot of these have in common too is we'll put oftentimes the credibility pieces right below the email opt-in, which is the transitional call to action. By the way, while I'm using that word, just a reminder for everybody as well. You're back? Awesome, man.
Oh man, I don't know. My computer just crashed. I don't know if the broadcast stopped when we were doing it, but
Hopefully it's still going. So we'll.
It's broadcasting. I'm sorry, guys. That's never happened during a call. It's happened outside of calls. But yeah, it looks like we're still live. So,
Cool,
sorry
still
about
live.
that.
Awesome. So yeah, we just went through some good headers. So perfect. You're back for the the CTA section. Kind of like this is a really good book. Highly recommend. That's like my favorite marketing book ever that I've now been using for starting to use on ourselves and using for our clients, called Building a Story Brand. So just simplifies all the marketing bullshit out there into a pretty simple concept of building a story brand where you're not the hero of the story, your customer is the hero, and you're the guide, right? You're not the Luke Skywalker, you're the Yoda. And the whole book is essentially about how to build a brand that gets the customer to trust you as their guide on their hero's journey. But in that book, it's called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller or something along those lines.
Donald Miller,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, I've been devouring that book over the last couple of weeks. I'm like, holy shit, like I've been in direct response industry forever and nobody showed me this. This is.
Well, that makes sense, because a lot of times, like in our space, when we're walking a client through a demo, or we put together a case study video, it's showing the result of what we accomplished for our client, and so that actually makes a lot of sense to use that on your website, if it's for consulting or agency or speaking, whatever it is. This is the story, the result, right, of the client, and I'm the guy that navigated the waters for him.
Yeah. The idea of, in StoryBrand is that you want to build enough authority to make the person trust you as their guide, but not so much authority that you become the hero. Because what happens when you're the hero, they're looking at you like, oh, that's a hero just like me. That's cool, but I'm too busy looking for a guide, so I'm going to move on, right? But if you're out there and you're not saying, I'm the best Jedi in the world, and you're saying, hey, I'm Yoda, I'm a real good Jedi, I've done some epic shit, but my purpose is to guide you, Luke Skywalker, on how to become the best Jedi you can be. And so come into my cave, trust me on this, right? And here's what I've done, by the way. But like, I'm here for you, right? That's the purpose of really having a really great site and a really great brand, is to get people to trust you with their journey, aka trust you with their money, because they're making an investment so that they can get to a certain point, not because you're so cool. So we'll come back to this. In the book, basically, there's a direct call to action and transitional call to action. Transitional call to action, we all know, is an opt-in. So examples of that, right, on Mike's site, it's the book. And then right below that, we often put credibility right below the main opt-in. So not a shitload of testimonials or all this crazy stuff, but just if you have some media credibility logos or one testimonial, putting it below the opt-in is usually really effective. On Jason Horning's site, similar thing is get the lazy man's guide to targeting with Facebook ads, just great copy because most people identify as lazy when it comes to trying to learn new stuff, or they know that that'll make it easy. So the opt-in is there, and then again, credibility right below that. For Sterling Griffin, similar thing, right? Get your blueprint, opt-in, and then the media logos there. I'm gonna skip through a number of these. This one I like, and I'll actually show it live. The Urban Monk is like most of this site, even though it's primarily a personal brand site. For PageRoom as an author, you'll notice it's like above the fold we have the video, the main intro text, and the CTA, right? And then we'll scroll right down, credibility. Then we have this section. This is the same CTA, same opt-in. Then we scroll down, and we have this section, same opt-in, right? And he just knows that his funnel works so well. So he's just like, well, shit, I'm going to just drive everybody to the same action pretty much everywhere I am. And then free content, which we'll go into a little bit of this in the formula, right? Main message. And now this is almost now he's inviting people to subscribe in case they didn't get it the first 3 times. Now he's saying, okay, well, you don't want the course, just subscribe to my episodes after you've given the free content. So I'll jump back into this, but basically there's a number of ways to do this, but you want to make sure on your checklist is, does my site have a solid opt-in, ideally above the fold, and ideally that works as a transitional call to action, meaning that after I opt in, I'm now more likely to do business with you than before I opted in. And I'm getting some good free value.
For me, I just have like a schedule a call right now. I don't have like a strong opt-in.
Yeah,
I do have
which
like
is
subscribe to our newsletter or subscribe to whatever.
so if you have an agency, oftentimes it totally makes sense to actually just like lead with your primary call to action as well. If you have a personal brand site, not always, but it depends on what you're trying to accomplish on there as well. But yeah, with an agency like we have with Vision Tech Team as well, I don't even know if our site's old. We're actually redoing it now, but our main thing drives to a consultation. And with Influex, our consultation has a pop-up for an opt-in, but we haven't been driving a lot to an opt-in. So agency can kind of go either way, because the main thing, once somebody's there, they're really exploring, should I work with you? And really, your opt-in for a consultation, it's not like they're buying from you. That is kind of an opt-in in a way, because they're scheduling a call, right? They haven't made a total commitment yet. But anyway, after that, we'll usually want to really introduce ourselves. So the idea of a compelling story introduction, so not just like about blah, 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 right? But really using story to create empathy and connection. Because once we've built authority, we've invited them to take an action, now we can use empathy and connection. So Robbie Richmond with XPill, it's like, let me tell you how it all started, then Burning Man happened. Right, cool, I'm invited to read. I'm interested now, especially if that resonates with me. If I know about Burning Man and I'm curious, what's this guy holding a pill and what does that have to do with Burning Man? Onyx and Gall, right? My story in the 3 flash moments that dramatically shifted my life. JJ Virgin, just when I thought I was on top of the world, right? Like this stuff. So Frank's is really funny. The reason I included this in here is because on the homepage, he actually just breaks this model. It's like the most boring. Frank is the creator of the behavioral dynamic system, automated marketing method, that blah, 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 right? But then if you read his about page, there's some good copy lessons in here. I don't claim credit for writing his copy. He does all that himself. He's obviously a genius marketer. But like, this is genius. So many people get so caught up about writing their story or about page copy, and he just goes, about Frank Kern, 3 reasons you should not be here. Hi, I'm Frank Kern. I always love the About Me page on websites like this because they're written in the third person, even though they're typically written by the owner of the site. So just pokes fun at it. And he's like, so after Frank Kern made several attempts to sound smarter than he really is by writing about himself in the third person, he quickly abandoned that approach and decided to write this page like a letter to a friend, which in many ways it is. Anyway, what do you want to know? I'm 44 years old, living with my wife, Natalia. We have 4 kids, 2 bunnies, and a dog named Charlie Murphy. But I'm guessing that's not the kind of stuff you're looking for. So like creates empathy, creates connection, empathy in the sense of and he's teaching you something about like the about page of a site real quick, and then he's like, that's not what you're here for, and you don't actually care about me, right? You're probably wondering, is this guy worth my time and attention, right? Which is, yes, that's exactly what I'm wondering if I'm on your site. And for many readers, the answer is no. Here's why. And then he goes into 3 things that he's against. And then he says, if you're still here, cool, here's what I can't help you with. And then he says, subscribe or buy some of my stuff if you want to, go on further. I'll run through some of these because I don't want to spend too much time, but you guys have these slides for a ton of examples. Highly recommend. Just download the storytelling guide. I mentioned it earlier, but just like this thing kicks ass. My buddy Patrick Combs wrote it up for us. I don't claim credit for how good it is. I just happen to have the best storyteller in the world support us with a lot of this work.
Awesome.
Jumping into media logos, credibility, all that. So the cool thing is, like, even if you haven't been featured anywhere, but let's say you've done work with some good clients, you can feature who you've done work with. So this was our buddy Sachit Gupta, who was more of a behind-the-scenes guy for a lot of these people. And when he started coming out with his own personal brand, he basically asked the permission of a lot of his top clients for his credibility because he hasn't had a lot of credibility himself yet, except for the work that he's done. And this has been my strategy as well. Like, I haven't gone out and spoken in a lot of stages, I've been featured in a lot of places, but if I list the people I've worked with, that gives me instant credibility and people want to learn from me. So that's another awesome approach, is people you've worked with, people you've served in some way. If you're an author, obviously you can feature that. David Box is maybe more intimidating. He's like one of the top authors in the business world. If you're a speaker, if you're out there speaking, just like literally, again, Patrick Holmes, a top speaker, but anytime you've been featured speaking anywhere, if that's one of your goals is to get more speaking gigs, just throw something on there that's like a quote about you speaking and some of the places you've spoken for. And there's a lot of trainings on how to get more speaking gigs. This isn't one of them. But what you could totally go out there and do is if you want to build more of a speaking career, is go out and speak to some organizations for free, right? And then be able to put their logos out there, whether they're universities or companies where you can go like teach them something without selling anything, without having any other agenda. It'll quickly build your credibility, and then you can feature that on your site. If you're interviewing people, this serves as both free content and credibility. So balls you can obviously use is when you're building your personal brand site, you've done a shitload of interviews with a lot of people, and you can feature those as part of the content on your blog and on your brand site, and then you can feature pictures or screenshots or whatever it is with those people, and that automatically associates you with all these other people's credibilities as well. So for Mike Koenigs, it was really cool. He has like this wall of all his fucking famous people that he's interviewed or hung out with and pictures with them. So we wanted to replicate that on his site. So we were just like, how can we build just a virtual wall? So we did that, and each of these goes to his blog. Testimonials. Obviously, you can have like the big names and all that. Probably even more importantly, just having success stories from your clients and not doing it like overwhelmingly ton of them. Enough to, again, get people to believe that you're potentially their guide. So taking some screenshots of like a really good way to get testimonials if you don't have a ton, but you know you've impacted some lives or some businesses, is just making a Facebook status and saying, hey, or balls, you could do this in your group, like, hey, if I've had an impact on you, or this group has had an impact on your life and your business, please share like some highlights from your transformation story below. I'd love to know, because that's what drives me. And by the way, if with your permission, I might share this on my site. You get people to do that, right? Usually people are happy to share their stories. Then you take quick screenshots of those things and you throw them up on your site. People get additional exposure. They're happy about it. And this is always a shitload more authentic and effective than just typing up some testimonials from people, because it's immediately believable. Similar thing if a client sends you an email about some gratitude about results you've created for them, screenshot that email instead of pulling out and copy and pasting a quote. And again, with their permission, but usually people are happy to give you the permission because you're giving them extra exposure. when writing up testimonials on a site, instead of just having a wall of text, having do the main call out and then do the rest of the testimonial below that. Because people don't read sites, they skim them. So whenever you have a big paragraph of shit, nobody's going to read it. If you have the main thing called out, as somebody skims it, if it resonates for them on a level that's maybe even beyond logical or what they're looking for, it'll whoosh, and they can read that. So with testimonials, similar concept, having only a few on the home page, but having them properly positioned.
How do you
I'll
feel
run
about
through a
video
few of these.
testimonials?
What was that?
How do you feel about video testimonials?
I love them. I just think with video, similar thing, right? These JJ Virgin's video testimonials or success stories. And if you're going to feature video testimonials, add the main quote, right? Add the call out. Because think about like, when's the last time you went to a site that had a bunch of video testimonials and you sat there and watched them all?
Unless you're making a big purchasing decision, not so much.
Right. And even if you are, it's like, if you see a list of 10 video testimonials and their names, right? Unless they're famous names, like you don't really want to sit there and like, oh, okay, which one of these am I going to invest my time in watching? Let's say each of them is 3 to 5 minutes long. There's 10 videos. That's like an hour. And you're not going to sit there and watch them all. Maybe you'll watch like half of one and you'll skip around a little bit. But if you have video testimonials, which are perfect, right? But you pull out the quote, the main quote of what the transformation was. Now, as a potential client, I'm reading through that and I'm finding the thing that resonates with me, and then I'm going to watch that testimonial. Right? So it's really important to call out the transformational quote. This is another perfect one. So this is more of a case study style. Again, Sachin Gupta did this one, did a lot of work for Mixergy and Andrew Warner, and he calls out like, here's how we impacted them. Here's the here's more of the story. And then if I click on this video, it'll pop up with the actual thing of Andrew talking about the impact. So it's like highlighting the what's relevant. Because if I'm on a site and I'm looking for how to grow my sponsorships, I'm going to watch this. If I'm on a site and I'm just trying to figure out how to maybe start my podcast, because you hear stuff about that too, this might not be the one that excites me. Because this might be the one that's like, fuck, like what do I care what you did for Mixergy? I've nowhere close to that kind of traffic, and like you growing your sponsorship for them, they started with a big base, like that doesn't impact me, right? So it's being able to identify the right things for the skimmer to go in and go deep. We'll skip through that as well. Finally, now if we're thinking about the homepage structure at this point, right? We've had the thing above the fold with the power statement, the video, the transitional call to action, the credibility, the invitation, like to read your story, to connect with you, and then we had the success stories, and then we have an opportunity to now say, cool, you want to work with me? Here's how we work together. Now, again, if you have an agency, you can put this stuff above the fold too. If the first thing is to schedule a consult or whatever it is, as long as you have the other stuff that's building credibility as well.
Do you recommend doing it all on like one long page?
Right. So for this, I'm talking, like the structure of a really good homepage, especially for a personal brand. It does make sense to have most of these sections on the homepage, but I'll actually run through one because it doesn't end up being that long. And you can also pick and choose which of these sections are most important. So I'll run through a few like real world examples of this that'll highlight all of these pieces. So like then, inviting people to work with you. JJ is not the best example probably for this group right now in the sense that there's a shitload of courses and things that she has. So it's take the short quiz and find out which one is right for you.
Yeah.
This is a good one for Alex Sharfin. Now, you'll see lorem ipsum things on here because we haven't launched the site yet. This is just kind of a screenshot of what's in design. But it's like, it's the full range, right? It's whether you're here or you're all the way up here and looking to scale, I'm here to serve you. And then the check out my training goes to his page, which has all the different portals. But on the home page, he just identifies the market and leads people in a certain direction. For Joe, he literally only cares about, out of all the different ways people could possibly engage with him, He cares about, cool, learn about Genius Network. This is the only thing he features on his homepage. So the thing I'm getting at here is on your homepage, you should actually avoid doing the thing that has like the 3 or 4 columns of like, here's all the different ways to work with me, and instead have one main call to action there. That's either the main thing that you want to feature for people to engage with you, or if you do want to feature multiple products, just something about your products, and then something that goes, check out, my training, that drives people to the product page, which can then segment them accordingly. And I'll run through a couple of live examples so you can see, because what I'm doing now is I'm zeroing in on different sections. So you can then swipe these independent sections as you're building your site, and then you could choose to include or exclude certain pieces of them. Obviously, then the blog, I mentioned this earlier, two totally different styles. The thing that I think about a blog design is do it in a way where you feel like you'll blog more. If you're game to do more videos, build more of a video blog. If you're game like, for this, the only difference here is design, but design matters for this because for Yannick, again, he started blogging more because his blog felt like an online journal. Another cool strategy is what Sachet does on his site, which is instead of saying I'm going to blog every week or I'm going to blog every month, right, which can be an intimidating content strategy, just saying, I want to do a few awesome articles and have them be really solid guides that solve people's problems. And I would just want to have a library of those 3 articles and have those be my blog. And I don't have to publish new shit almost ever. But these 3 things, right, if you're running a podcast, you're reading that how to get paid thing, and you're sharing that with all your buddies that run podcasts, right? If you're trying to learn Facebook ads and you're just new to it, you're probably reading that other article. Or if you're trying to figure out how to get sponsorships on your podcast, you're probably reading and sharing and all about the ultimate guide to sponsorships. So I think with content, it could be like this thing, let's keep doing new shit. Or it could be, what are my customers' main problems? Let's write out the exact solutions for them step by step on the blog, make good long articles about those in a way that solves those people's problems. And then if they want to work with me afterwards, they're going to want to do it. Right? Because if you give away a shitload of value for free and position yourself as an expert on your blog, it's on your home page, now somebody's gone through that, they want to engage further. Kind of skip this stuff. If you're not blogging a lot, putting social media streams is sometimes useful. And this is the piece, again, it's like very different from most of what the web design world does. Most sites have, and I'm guilty of this as well, because we're like, now that I'm learning all this stuff for clients, I'm redesigning our own sites.
Because it's always the last to happen, right?
Right. The whole plumber's sink syndrome. It's amazing because we've been so busy. It's like shit. Like I got to redo our site so that we're like living our talk, walking our talk. But we're just like we're getting so many clients anyway because of the other site work we do. But like this last piece, social connections with purpose. How many times you see a site that has just social media icons and it's like a row of 6 social media icons, half the networks you don't know what the fuck they are, and then why do you want people to click a tiny little Facebook icon to go off your site and onto Facebook? But and most people aren't going to do it anyway. It's just distracting. But if you have social connections with purpose, it's here it's like keeps me on the site if I click the Facebook like button. Sends obviously you guys probably know about messenger bots, but they like just I gotta figure out what's going on there. But I was gonna show a quick example of how Sterling's works, but just having like a lot of intention around how you're using social media on the site rather than just throwing up the icons. So for Dean Graziosi, it's like instead of just the icons, it's what do you do on each network? So on Facebook, discuss the latest with me. On YouTube is watch my videos as well as kind of some embedded videos down here. Instagram, direct way to connect with me. And Twitter, I just post inspirational quotes. So if you give people a reason, right, it's the whole why principle. If you give people a reason for why to connect with you in a certain way, they're more likely to do it. If you don't give them a reason, you just put an icon up there, they're blind to it, literally blind, because every site has those same icons on there. And finally, right, every site ends with what? A footer. So, like, ladies know this, right? The shoes define the outfit. Us guys have a longer time figuring that out for some reason. But at the end of every site is the footer. Right? And most people just throw some random links and dismiss it as an important part of the site.
Privacy
Actually, one of
policy. That's all I
what was
put in
that?
there. Privacy policy.
Yeah, which you should, right? Below the other shit that you put in the footer. But if you think about it, this is what ends up in on every single page of your site. And even more so, this is how somebody ends their scroll. They're scrolling through, they end with the footer. This is their last experience of that page. So it should be like something that's really intentionally thought out, because on every single page, your about page, your services page, your contact page, everything's going to have this footer, right? So we love to do intentional designs around it, both making it look great, as in like having the photo of you in there, or having something that looks beautiful, so that it's remembered well, but also having your transitional call to action again, or your main one, and having some either something else there, or just like photo plus main call to action. So Onyx, it's again, it's like we just like to make these beautiful because it's the thing at the very end of the site. And Mike Koenig's, I love this because it's just like he's this total expression of his personality. And again, it represents here's why you connect with me on all these networks and transitional call to action. So if you scroll down on your site and your footer doesn't either have the, hey, schedule a call with us, or opt in, or whatever the main call to action is, you're missing something, and you're probably missing a percentage of your audience that would be clicking on that, because the reason they've scrolled down to the bottom of a site is they've typically evaluated some things on that page, and now they're at the bottom. And if you have the same thing on every page, now if they've clicked on 3 pages, 4 pages of your site, read a couple of articles, they've seen now the same call to action 3, 4, 5 times. And oftentimes that's what it takes to get somebody to make a decision, to schedule a call or to opt in or whatever. So the more times you can put that in front of people without being annoying, because now it's just a part of the standard site. People are used to seeing the same footer, but that now it's intentionally designed, the better off you are. So I'll just throw these up for resources. Slides are on influx.com/guide. If you're out there getting a photographer, influx.com/photos. This is the photo guide we give to all our clients. And again, none of these have opt-ins. They're just straight up, just use them for your stuff. And then if you do want us to explore building your site, influx.com, you can check out all our stuff on there. If you don't have like at least a $10,000 budget to create something epic, and you're at that point in your business where that makes sense, it's probably not the ideal thing to apply for. But maybe you can enter your name in there, and we can be in touch later about it if that makes sense for you. What I will say is, whether you do it with us, or you do it on your own, or you do it with another agency, or you're hiring somebody overseas, or whatever that looks like for you, take this stuff seriously, because it is the center of your online universe. And if you're running an agency, right, or you're building any kind of business where you're working either one-on-one or in group with people, and you're offering a service, just one or two more clients oftentimes pays for a 5K investment, or not a 5K, a 5-figure investment in a site. And the difference that can make over a year or 2 years is usually dramatically exponential if you get intentional about your site design, who's doing it, how you're doing it, versus just throwing something up there. Because it is where most people are going to ultimately check you out, even if they found you through Facebook, found you through an ad, even if they've been through your funnel. This becomes the center of your online universe. And if you're running, whether it's a 6-figure, multiple 6-figure, or you're growing beyond that, or even if you just want to get there in the next year, this shit matters, and make sure you take care of it. Don't get caught up on it, but take care of it in a way that really honors what you're trying to create in your business.
No, that's awesome, man. Like, I started changing on my website, I think back in November. Still not done with the content. And it's just one of those things. I guess you got this frustration a lot, right? Because your clients never bring you the photos, the content, any of that stuff. So how do you circumvent that for your clients?
Yeah, we've started to, that was one of our biggest challenges with launching the sites, which is why you saw that Facebook post. One of the solutions I offered in that was, okay, now with one of our packages, we actually write all their copy for them. At least all their draft copy, then they edit it. We're not like out there as the best copywriters in the world, but we hired a couple of really great copywriters not because we wanted to be in the copywriting business, but because we're in the website business, and people weren't getting their shit and they would disappear. right? So we started either copy consulting to make the piece easier for them. So even our lowest level package has copy consulting. So we get on the phone with the clients, we walk them through, okay, this is what your pages are going to look like. This is where you need to write this kind of copy, guide them through what they need to do to write it. And then 2 weeks later, we follow up and we look at their copy and we review it for them and empower them to complete it. So we try to make that as easy as possible. And then on another level, we just write it all for them and have them finalize in their voice. And then with photos, that's one that's been harder to solve, but that's where we put out the photo guide, can sometimes put them in touch with a local photographer depending on where they're at. And then we also have a level where we do like the VIP experience with people where we charge like 33 grand. They fly in, we spend a couple days with them. We have a photographer locally take all the shots. We literally just extract everything out of them, and then we do it for them. Because usually the cost, especially for a lot of people who are doing reasonably well in business, they're building a great site. It's not the money so much as it's the time, the energy, not knowing what they're doing, and trying to block it out on your calendar in a way that gets you the results. So we've, in some levels, taken care of that for people, but where we haven't, we've just provided the resources to go out and do it on their own.
That's awesome, guys. For those of you who still there's still a few people watching.
Awesome.
Guys, Dmitry just shared a lot of free resources. Not only the slides, which is going to give you the step-by-step on how to build your personal brand site or your agency site. It's going to follow that same template. He also gave us the storytelling guide and the photo guide. So there's really like no excuses to not get it done. You just have everything you need laid out for you. And just you could, like he said, if you don't want to hire him, he's on the higher price point. Find somebody that can design it for you and give them the framework, right? And that's kind of where I always got hung up on. It's like, oh, what do I give them? Give me some reference, give me some examples. I never had it, but now I do, right? So that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I don't see any questions, but so where can everybody reach you? Like if they want to get in touch with you about possibly using your services or just to connect with you and see what you're doing? Because I've seen a lot of posts over the past year, 10 months or so that we've been connected online, and I just see like the different journey and the different aspects of you building your agency traveling, a lot of personal stuff, but then I noticed like some of the key stuff revolving around your business, and I think that's good for people to see other people's journeys. So where can people follow you?
Yeah, Facebook is the best. That's really the only place where I consistently post anything. So definitely come connect on Facebook. Shoot me a message or just come follow. I've got the whole 5,000 friends thing, so I always got to like remove some people and then add some people. So definitely come follow me on there, and you'll see my posts. Most of them I make pretty public to followers. And then if you want to connect more personally, just shoot me a message and just let me know you found me through this group and connect and engage that way. And especially if you're interested in potentially getting the site with us, just get in touch either through Facebook as well or fill something out on the site. And yeah, if you just want to follow, get in touch that way. That's definitely the best way. And obviously my Facebook is going to be linked down here, and I'll comment on the video as well. Really been an honor connecting with you guys and sharing this stuff. It's one of the reasons why we do what we do at this high level is to get to like take all of that and not hold any secrets and just bring it out to the world where we empower people to do their own stuff. So really encourage you guys, do this stuff, and then if you're building your site, send me a message. I'd love to check it out.
That's awesome, and guys, keep in mind, there's some people that are going to be watching this in the replay or maybe watching it now that offer web design as a service, and a lot of people, they have the misconception like, oh, I can't get higher ticket or recurring or whatever, and you've kind of broken that forget the word. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah, totally.
So it's not only like you can't only get high ticket retainers from lead generation and those types of services. You can get high retainers and high value clients from something like web design. That's not a traffic source.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to transparently on our monthlies, outside of what we do for these personal brand sites. On our monthly services as Vision Tech team, where we do work for like bigger companies or these top influencers, we only work monthly, and we have 3 levels, which is $7,000 a month, $11,000 a month, and $20,000 a month. This is literally for tech work, for design and development. And most people experience this feast or famine thing. Oh, I build you a website, and then they go away. There's a shitload of companies out there who would love a monthly tech team, who would love a monthly tech person or a monthly design person, and just for whatever reason, most of the industry is missing out on that. We've built our entire company around that and now have started offering the one-time services because we felt it made sense to do these as personal brand sites. But there's a shitload of opportunity for people that are, if you feel like your calling is to build something in web design, whether you're just, a one-man show right now throwing up some WordPress sites and customizing themes, or you've got an organization around it, there's a way to build a really great sustainable business around it. And certainly don't feel like you have to shift industries, add other services, whatever. All of that is possible too, right? If you're a design agency, you could add, traffic services or copywriting services. But if you feel like your calling is to do what you're doing with websites, then keep doing that. There's totally models that you can build $1 million plus recurring revenue model around just doing websites.
That's awesome, man. Well, Dmitry, thanks again for jumping on here and sharing. You give away the most shit out of anybody. You just gave away a ton of value. And if you guys have any questions for Dmitry after, just tag him in the post below or reach out to him directly. But if you have any questions that you think may help other people, just put a question underneath the video, and Dimitri's floating around on Facebook. He'll find it, and he'll respond back. All right, man.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
everybody watching,
Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, everybody watching, take care. Leave any comments or questions below, like I said, and we'll catch you next time.